Clemson went out and jumped all over North Carolina from the very first play, which was a double pass. Antonio Williams hits TJ Moore for a 75-yard touchdown pass, and it was really off to the races from there. UNC had one competent drive, their first drive. They went down the field, settled for a field goal. They seemed, 58 yards on that drive. They seemed like maybe they would put up somewhat of a fight. They had about 22 yards the rest of that half. Pretty much everything they did beyond that was garbage time. UNC looked horrible, but Clemson did look really good. So how do we pull those two things apart? What do we learn from it? It's a little hard to tell because UNC was just so bad, but that's what I'm going to try to do here is kind of parse that apart. Before I dive in, if you haven't already subscribed to this channel, it really helps us grow, and I appreciate it. Also, like, and if you can, the new feature on YouTube is hype. If you could hype the video, I'd appreciate it. So with that being said, let's dive in. And we got to start with Cade Klubnik. Look, this is practically playing against air. I mean, UNC, I cannot emphasize how bad they are, but he was 22 for 24, 4 touchdowns, no picks, really didn't have any bad throws, 254 yards, 10.6 yards per attempt. And a lot of that was, he hits Christian Bettencourt on a great pass, but also the guy just falls down and runs it another, whatever it was, 20 yards, right? So part of that is definitely UNC, but it's hard to go 22 for 24 against Furman or Troy, and he certainly didn't do it against Troy. So there's definitely a sense of this team scored 28 in the first quarter. They weren't able to do that against Troy. I don't think they could have done that against Furman if they had played Furman earlier this season. The team seems like they took a step. They certainly didn't quit when they could have quit this season. Shelton Lewis was the one player on the team who literally quit. He'll redshirt. He's left the team. Really could have been a lot worse, both in as far as roster management, but also the team spirit. You saw a UNC team break pretty quickly out there. Seemed like they didn't give the same kind of effort as Clemson did. Clemson wide receivers blocking, pushing cornerbacks into the end zone. Clemson wanted this more. Not only are they more talented, but they look like the better coached, better motivated team. So those are all real positives. And you got to give credit to Klubnik for as much flack as I and seemingly everyone has given him. He looked great in this game, even against bad competition. So a lot of credit definitely should go there to Klubnik. Other guys who maybe I've criticized, and I think rightfully so, Blake Miller, interestingly, have not had great seasons at right tackle and left tackle, respectively. I thought they looked a lot better. The interior of the offensive line still has, I think the guard play is still not super great, and that's why they couldn't run the ball all that well. Adam Randall only had 30 rushing yards, despite what I thought he ran the ball well, but there just weren't holes there. I think that's a weakness of this team, and they miss Marcus Tate. I think that's going to continue to be a weakness of this team all year. And maybe that's the spot where they should have gone to the portal and didn't. And maybe next year they've learned that lesson and they will go to the portal. As they lose a lot of guys, they'll lose, I guess, 3 starters on this offensive line with Sadler and Sewell leaving or staying and everyone else leaving. There's a lot of talk this preseason about running back and running back being a weakness. Adam Randall, he's just a converted wide receiver. I think Randall's fine. I think he's actually really good. He had over 70 receiving yards. He had 2 receiving touchdowns, and I thought he ran the ball well. There just hasn't been many holes for him. And for all the talk about concern with him, there was just as much talk about excitement about Gideon Davidson, the true freshman from Virginia. And he has not looked bad by any means, but he hasn't even had the momentary flashes we got early on 2017 with ETN, where maybe he comes in garbage time, but you see the acceleration and speed and just kind of go, wow. We haven't seen that from Davidson. That doesn't mean I'm down on him. I'm not. But Randall is truly the best running back on the team. He's earned it. It's not favoritism or just seniority. He's the best, and he deserves some credit for that. So I want to shout him out. So I mentioned the negatives. I thought the guard play was still kind of meh. And we saw Christopher Vizzina. And maybe this is the most notable point on all the negatives. I thought Vizzina was okay. He doesn't look like a guy that if the season was, a new season started today, would be capable of starting for a P4 team. He averaged 3.5 yards per attempt. He missed 2 or 3 open guys. He overthrew crossers, led them too far. One turned into an incompletion. The other turned into Tyler Brown diving on 4th down to make a catch when he should have caught it and then been able to turn upfield and get first down. He had one good pass, a 50 for a 1st down to Antonio Williams. So all bad, but We've seen him basically 4 times. We've seen him in this game and then 3 prior spring games. He looked terrible in 2 spring games. He looked okay in the most recent spring game, and then he looked probably somewhere in between those in this one. So, we see these other programs go out and get transfer portal QBs and make a big difference. Look at Georgia Tech with Haynes King. He's now been there 3 years, but he was a transfer from A&M. Look at Duke, not a huge football program. They go out and spend money to get Darian Mensah, pretty big upgrade at quarterback, and he's been great for them. Is Clemson going to do that this offseason? That would be really interesting. They did go out, obviously, this offseason, get Will Helt, big-time top edge player on defense. Quarterback feels a little bit different. It feels like if you're going to go out, spend big-time money, millions of dollars to bring in a quarterback who did not choose Clemson or did not have a Clemson offer coming out of high school, that feels like a little bit more significant of a change. So maybe the success with Helt, and honestly, I thought Tristan Smith and Jeremiah Alexander look fine and just should get more snaps. But the success in general with the portal this year, maybe that sort of warms them up, and maybe we see that next year. So let me know what you thought of Vizzina and the future at quarterback. I thought that was an interesting subplot. Then on defense, a lot of the same guys, Sammy Brown, Stephylan Green, who I love, I think is overlooked, underrated. Avion Terrell, obviously a star. Will Helt, Jaheim Lawson. They all looked good. They've really been guys that I've been pretty positive about all year. TJ Parker looked a lot better. He looked way better. He didn't register a sack, but was getting to the quarterback, changing the game. Haven't seen a lot of that, so encouraging to see him step up. I think that makes a big difference. Myson Kelly, saw him more than usual. I thought he looked pretty good for the most part. Shelton Lewis, who was kind of in that nickel role, left the team. So Myson Kelly now has, less kind of room to falter. They need him. Good to see him kind of come on strong. And I try to be honest, and when I'm wrong about something, I'll say it. I don't know that we've reached the point where I'm saying I'm wrong, but was not high on Myson Kelly coming out of high school. Didn't love the offer, local Daniel high school kid. And hey, look, to date, he hasn't really contributed. He started to in this one. Hopefully that becomes a theme there. So encouraging on that front. Let's see. Elsewhere on defense, Avion Terrell and Ashton Hampton are really good, but beyond them, there's really not much depth at cornerback. Heaven forbid Avion Terrell or Ashton Hampton have an injury. That would be really bad news for this season. It'll be interesting to see what they do next season, as Avion's probably going to the NFL. I think Hampton's a great starter, but that leaves you with one. Lucas is gone just because he'll be out of eligibility. I don't know that you're seeing anything that makes you feel like you've got guys ready to step up and be a starter. Will you go out and get a starter? The only starter they've ever gotten through the portal is Helt. Will they go out and get a couple this coming year? So that's another interesting subplot. Boston College is up next. They got destroyed, absolutely obliterated by Pitt. Now, Pitt did switch to a freshman QB and kind of didn't announce it, so that caught them a little bit by surprise. BC's losses prior have been really close, overtime loss to Michigan State and so on. So I don't know that BC is quite as bad as North Carolina, but they're not good. Clemson should be able to go out, have this thing in garbage time before the fourth quarter starts. I think that's the kind of performance you're looking for. We'll see if they could run the ball a little bit better against Boston College. That would be good. But ideally, you're stacking 2 blowout wins against what, if you haven't already subscribed to this channel, please do so, because we'll have ACC power rankings dropping pretty much immediately after this video. And I'll have North Carolina and Boston College as the 2 worst teams in the ACC. So pick up those 2 wins. Then you come back and you play a team that I have above Clemson in the ACC power rankings, and that's SMU. Then they'll play another one who have above Clemson, that's Florida State. But this week, I don't know that neither of those 2 teams look unstoppable. SMU blew out Syracuse, which doesn't mean much. I think Syracuse without Angeli is not very good. But of course, Clemson lost to Syracuse, so take that with a grain of salt. But I think SMU, they're weak at in their secondary. That maybe is favorable for Clemson, who likes to throw the ball, has great wide receivers. So maybe that matchup at home is favorable for Clemson. Florida State, Tommy Castellanos is one of the more fun players because he will make some incredibly fun plays with his legs and his arm, but will also have some interceptions. He had 2 interceptions in a game where they didn't really compete with Miami. I don't know if I'm picking Clemson to win either of those, but I don't know that Clemson's going to be as outclassed as maybe we thought they would be 2 weeks ago. So this is a spot where Clemson could start gaining some momentum. Go beat Boston College, come home, I don't know that SMU is hopeless. So let me know what your thoughts are. Join in the comments. And as always, go Tigers. Thank you to our sponsor, Ready Vets. If you live in the upstate and have a dog or cat that needs immediate care, Ready Vets is the place to go. If you enjoyed this, please like and subscribe.